once again, back once again, back once again, back once again, back once again with a beat. Let the bass kick.
Solomon is probably one of the best examples of someone needing to take his own advice. Yes, he was human, but he was wise. Wise in a way that we can be also. God freely provides us the wisdom we need to properly handle life, lead, and impact others. Welcome to the Wisdom in All Things podcast. Up today, the value of being cheaply entertained. Brett McKay from The Art of Manliness says, since 2003, the amount of time Americans spend either attending or hosting social events has declined by 30%. In 1970, the average American spent $850 on recreation each year, while today each person spends $2,500. What this data suggests is that while we don't recreate as often, when we do, we tend to choose more expensive activities to engage in. You may remember a time when people got together just to spend time together. Dinner, cards, maybe a game. Growing up, I vividly remember my parents going out almost every week to another family's home. Going out simply meant leaving our home to go to someone else's home. You may bring drinks or dessert, that kind of thing, but otherwise, it really didn't cost you anything. And a meaningful time was more dependent on a relationship rather than setting, location, or the latest rent and experience. Now there is less emphasis on just being together and more effort and expense on having a great experience. Have we lost the art of cheap recreation, as Brett McKay suggests, and at what cost? Being a single-income family living in a very expensive city, we have come to depend on and enjoy our ability to be cheaply entertained, which has not only saved us a lot of money, but has provided many necessary benefits. It makes the times that we do spend a little money so much more enjoyable because it's special. And that it's also helped us realize that we don't need to really spend any money to have valuable, meaningful time together. Our time together becomes more beneficial the more we depend on ourselves for the experience, and in the end, we spend less and profit more. Have we overcomplicated our social interactions and in the process stripped away its intended benefits? It is possible to live simply but richly. If our goal is to spend wisely and at the same time provide valuable, meaningful experiences that enrich our lives and relationships, redeeming the lost art of being cheaply entertained may be a necessary course correction, especially as we head into prime how can we pack our summer full of things to do season. Brett raises some pretty strong arguments for cheap entertainment. First, the cheaper the recreation, the more often you can do it. Secondly, cheap recreation can involve all of your friends, regardless of their financial status. Third, cheap recreation gives you the chance to improvise and create. And fourth, cheap recreation often provides more adventures or memories. In discussing this with my wife, who had some really good ideas, we were able to quickly highlight the influence of being cheaply entertained has had on our family. First, entitlement. Our kids have learned that expensive entertainment is a gift, not a right. Secondly, our kids have reasonable expectations. Set the bar too high and $100 seats to a Chicago Bulls game becomes the norm. Third, being truly thankful for what we do get to do. Being cheaply entertained can do a lot for our being content and truly enjoying even the simplest of activities. Fourth, develop a conviction over spending money and the return on what you pay for. Spoiler, the happiest place on earth may not actually be the happiest place on earth. Expensive, yes. Crowded, you bet. Happy? Not so much. We spent only one day at Disney, and I have to say that I'm happier knowing that we'll never need to go back. Fourth, better understanding of need versus want. This concept has been clear to our boys as they've realized firsthand that one is actually more important than the other. Next, not doing something just because you can. Even if we're able to afford going out to eat every week, do you really need to? And lastly, another way that it has influenced our family in a positive way, finding a role model that supports right spending, creative entertainment. 2 words, Dude Perfect. You got to check out their YouTube channel. As a result, our boys haul a mini hoop, but a bucket worked fine to start, all over the neighborhood to do their own trick shots. Cheap, fun, thoroughly entertaining. Oh, and take a look at those guys over at Studio C, another great YouTube channel. The kids think it's funny, and I giggle every once in a while. Let me challenge you with just a couple of questions. What is necessary to create the most valuable, meaningful experience? How much should you really invest in being entertained? What would your wife say to your suggesting saving money and investing in quality time with your family? Again, it's not just about the money being spent, but the total cost of our commitment to having an experience over simplifying our leisure and truly enjoying one another. Here's a few ideas to warm you up. Just find a new setting. You've seen people showing movies in their backyard, so where might you be able to do your favorite thing in a new way or a new place? We started doing frisbee golf around the neighborhood. Who needs an official course? The other day we grabbed a 5-gallon bucket and a tennis ball on our way to a park and invented bucket ball. You take turns shooting from one step away from the bucket. If you make it, you take another step back. First person to make a shot after 7 steps wins. Secondly, take the typical and give it a twist. Take your favorite game and just change up the rules. There are a number of ways you can take Monopoly to the next level. Third, create new combos. Combine 2 or 3 types of games to create a new, enjoyable hybrid. Fourth, find what's free. While Chicago can be obnoxiously expensive, they do offer free classical concerts in the heart of the city. We get to picnic as the sun sets in the city while we listen to renowned musicians for free. Just find the free stuff in your area. Next, is it time for something completely new? Find a thrift store with indoor-outdoor games, dirt cheap, and rotate between family members as to who gets to pick a thing that everybody has to do. Maybe do this a few times a year, around the seasons. And of course, the mother of all innovation, no or little cash. Put yourself to the test. Brainstorm what you could do if you choose to spend a little or no money. In fact, some of the more meaningful times together can be doing something for someone else. Who do you know that needs help? And lastly, less is more. You could just simply lessen the frequency of what you're doing now. And if there are experiences that you find you're doing just because you can, just cut back on them, if not cut them out. Bottom line, you want to find the value of cheap, being less dependent on having to pay to play. Our time together as a family has become truly satisfying. There is great value in being cheaply entertained. I know you're busy. That is why I've put together the Wisdom in All Things podcast to help you benefit from all there is to read and watch and listen to. And if you would, please tell others about what you heard and where they can hear it. wisdominallthings.com.